Ah, that's my mother's favorite song. All right, it is the house that Elvis built, or at least his songs helped build it. That was one of them. Here to walk us through the upside-down palace in Los Angeles is Marc Myers. Marc, what is the connection of this home we're going to talk about to Elvis Presley, who we were just watching? Shake a little bit there. We didn't ask you to do that. You got off lucky.
No, thank goodness. Mike Stoller, the dean of rock and roll songwriting, lives there. And Mike, with Jerry Lieber of Lieber and Stoller fame, wrote many of Elvis's mid-50s hits and quite a few others. Jailhouse Rock, Hound Dog, King Creole, Yakety Yak for others, Love Potion
This house
#9.
has stories inside of it.
Yes, it does.
You know, we're going to go back and talk about what it used to look like in a minute, but let's go through a few of its more interesting features in its current incarnation, Marc.
I think the most interesting feature about this house is the view, Wendy. It is absolutely paralyzing. You see this view, it's almost like landing in a 747 in Los Angeles.
Looking at it right now, you're not kidding.
Yeah, it's just stunning. And it's 3 decks of 3,000 feet each, so it's a 9,000 square foot home, 3 stacked on top of each other, almost like 45s.
So you enter into the living space and then you walk downward into the sort of bedroom and the places where people sort of sleep and so forth.
Correct, hence the upside-down house.
The upside-down house.
Right, instead of going upstairs to private quarters, you're entering in the living area and then descending 2 flights to office space and also bedroom area.
Now the house didn't always look like this. They bought it and then they renovated it a little bit and then they tore it down. There was a whole history here.
Yeah, it was first this very small house that Mike's wife Corky found, and they were going to do all these things to it to have a place to stay when they were going back and forth between New York and LA. But they finally decided, why don't we just move out here? And then they decided, why don't we just build our dream house? So they tore everything down except the chimney, so it would count as a redo. And then,
Smart.
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
Smart songwriter,
yes,
that is.
Yes, and then they just did 9,000 square feet, 3,000 per level.
And we were talking about those views a minute ago, those sort of views as if you're in the nose of a 747 in a plane. Why were those views so important to Stoller, given his childhood?
You know, he grew up, where he grew up in Brooklyn, he could only see in his house. They were very poor, so he could only see a window up by the ceiling. So he'd only see feet and cuffs going by, pants cuffs going by as a kid. So when he finally got out to LA and finally had the dough to do what he wanted to do, the view was essential for him spiritually and also just for peace of mind.
And what about creatively? I mean, I'd imagine, we all think views inspire us. At least for me, they inspire me when I'm trying to write. Does a guy like that who's written so many great songs, does he ever get writer's block? And can his house and his views help him out of that?
But he never does, but the answer was classic Lieber and Stoller. His classic Mike Stoller. What he said is, well, gosh, I don't know whether the view helps me, but it can't hurt.
Right, very good point.
Yeah.
All right, Marc, thanks so much for being with
Pleasure,
us.
Wendy.
Appreciate more in the off-duty section tomorrow. We're all done with WSJ Lunch Break.